Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our influencer segment brought to you by ogpay.com, we are featuring famed jewelry designer Shugi Cassini. Beautiful stuff. Definitely check them out at shugicassini.com. And yes, she is married into the famous Oleg Cassini family. Oleg Cassini, for those of you that are unfamiliar, is a fashion house founded by the famous designer Oleg Cassini right here in New York back in the 50s. Not surprising, though, Shuggy paved her own path as a model and accomplished designer. She retired about 10 years ago, but it was in 2019 that she decided to stop coloring her gray hair. And come lockdown, she was ahead of the curve on what would become a massive movement, the Silver Sisters. She started an Instagram page totally dedicated to sharing her silver grow out. Now, when people talk about gray hair, most envision an old lady in a rocking chair knitting booties. Well, that stereotypical view has long been blasted out the murky, dyed waters as women of all ages have become icons of sophisticated and cool. So much so that silver haired influencers have become the envy of the younger generation. And supermodel Kristen McMenemy and British Vogue's very own Sarah Harris are the fashion world's poster girls for gray. Their every Instagram post proof that a head of silver hair isn't just acceptable, it's seriously aspirational. Now, the period post lockdown has seen the gray hair movement go mainstream. Forced to relinquish their regular salon visits due to COVID-19 restrictions, many women chose to embrace their regrowth rather than run from it. And celebrities like Helen Mirren, Jane Fonda, and Andie MacDowell are all L'Oreal ambassadors who front their skincare ranges targeting the over 50 group. Here to chat life, wisdom, and gray hair is the beautiful Shugi Cassini. Welcome to the show, my stunning silver sister.
Hi, thank you so much, Zen.
I'm so excited to chat with you. Okay, let's dive right in. So the influencer space has been a really fun side gig to say for you. At least, it's permeated, so to speak, every aspect of your life. And of course, as all great things do. And it's rooted really in the power of an inclusive global community of just strong pro-age women. Other than a famous designer, you're an influencer who goes by the handle at Silver Shug with over 20,000 followers that you've amassed it simply by embracing your grays. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so I was ahead of the curve, like you said, in 2019, decided to stop coloring my hair. I'd wanted to for a long time, and it just, you can see how much there would be to cover. I was done with the chemicals, and I've always had a lot of silver-haired women in my family. It wasn't a big deal. So for me, it was a very natural transition. And I did kind of the blended grow out with highlights and lowlights and stuff. My hairdresser helped me transition. And, but then lockdown came. Like I said, I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't realize there was this movement already starting to happen. But then in lockdown, when no one could see their hairdresser and the box dye shelves were empty, a good friend of mine said, you need to share this. You need to share this. People need to see it, that it's okay, that it's normal. And so I started just, documenting and photographing the transition. And I'm a jeweler, and everything locked down. So I couldn't do, that I didn't have that creative outlet. So I started the selfie creative outlet.
Yeah. And listen, they're not gray hairs. I say they're wisdom highlights. Recently, other elderly influencers like Grandma Tian and Washini Wanglayoli's followers are mostly female users between the ages of 18 and 35, surprisingly. Followers consider you silver-haired influencers trustworthy. What do you say to this?
I think there's an honesty to it. Yeah, and I think that there's, I think because we're so confident in just what is, and there's an embracing, it's a relishing even of aging. Instead of trying to hide it, it's like, this is where it is, and it's actually really fun, it's beautiful, it's empowering, and the community is something I never anticipated, and I never thought I would enjoy being on social media, but when I'm not on there for a little bit, I miss these women.
They're terrific. I love the community that you have found, that you have nurtured, and that you are speaking to on a daily level. I follow you. But it's interesting because since gray hair has become trendy, beauty brands, I think at this point, have realized that people no longer want to see flawless, younger looking women with dyed hair. They've had to move with the times and towards a more enlightened market, so to speak, by using women who have unshamedly embrace their age and all the wrinkles and grays that go with it. Not that you have a single wrinkle on your face, but
I
but
do.
you are beautiful in your own strength. What advice do you have to your younger self?
To be fearless and to know that there's no expiration date. Things will never fall into an order that you anticipate, but if you're open to that, then it can be better than anticipated. I always saw myself as an old woman on a rocking chair, so I've never feared aging. I had a lot of friends that didn't make it past 40, a lot of cancer friends that I've lost to cancer. And so I think the advice to my younger self is to just do it. Do it
Just do
all.
it.
Just do it all. Like whatever it is, you're going to regret what you didn't do and the risks that you didn't take, and the opportunities don't keep coming. So take them.
Very true. And interesting, talking about the Greys, I remember recently after Sarah Jessica Parker proudly showed off her roots in a viral Sex and the City reunion snap, and Andy McDowell's halo of silver curls became the most admired hairstyle on the Cannes red carpet this year. Then you have Spain's Queen Letizia. She arrived in Stockholm for a state visit not long ago, looking characteristically groomed in this beautiful camel cape by Carolina Herrera. But the one thing that stood out was the natural strands of silver visible in her glossy dark hair. So now the movement is hitting the royals. Do you think that this is a fad?
No, definitely not. It's not just for me, but in this community. It's what I love about the women that are just now starting to transition, like they're like a month in or 2 weeks or whatever it is watching that trajectory that is become actually predictable, where once they embrace the silver and it becomes fun and there's all this support, it really trickles down and there's an acceptance that happens, and there's a power that comes out through it that's kind of addicting. Like like how much more authentic can you be? It just peels back the layers. And I think when people peep into that community, they're like, that's a really exciting place that I get to go as I age. And there's so many young women now that are not silver yet. They're salt and pepper, just they're starting to come in, and I have friends and they're like, I hope I'm silver like you someday.
Yeah,
and they just have a few little strands, and I'm like, let it rip.
Let it rip. And there's that stigma about gray hair equating to, you're definitely aging, but I don't think it's that. You're getting wiser. Somebody actually said this to me, she's an older woman and she looks like she's 20 years younger than she really is. And she said, listen, I'm a happily married woman, and it's true that sex is better for gray heads. And now I just can't wait to go gray.
Yeah, you find your voice. You know what you want. It's not just about pleasing your partner. It's about, being in your authentic, rooted, happy self. I think in every aspect. So of course that's going to translate to the bedroom. That's where politics really begin. It's in the bedroom, right? So, and it's what's really interesting too is, there's older gentlemen, people my age, women, everyone complimenting me, but the most, the people that go out of their way the most are young men. Really interesting, whether I'm with my husband or not, like a bank teller, like coming across all the other tellers, or people crossing the street, young men in restaurants just going, oh my God, I love your hair. It's so cool. And I just think for the young men to see, I mean, look, like we watch George Clooney age, we watch all these men age, and they just get sexier and more interesting. And
Salt and pepper is so sexy, for sure.
So sexy. It's always been my favorite. And so now the young men get to look and watch women age and go, oh, that's hot.
Well,
that's
listen,
really great.
We are out of time. Shuggy, it was such a pleasure chatting with you. So much fun. Will you come and do this again?
Anytime, anytime.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. That was our influencer segment brought to you by ogpay.com. Definitely check out Shugi Cassini. Head to her website at shugicassini.com, or you can check her out on the gram at silvershug and also at Shugi Cassini. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.